Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, can I become a better version of myself? Not to compare with anyone else, not to please others, but simply to feel more satisfied with who you are. There's a simple truth that few actually think about. Every day, you have the chance to be better than you were yesterday, even if just a little. And if you are truly committed to that, the change will be greater than you ever imagined. Imagine you wake up on an ordinary morning. You have two choices. Either jump out of bed immediately, start the day with an active mindset, or stay in bed scrolling on your phone a little longer, procrastinating and letting time pass in vain. Both choices may seem small, but if repeated every day, they will lead to two completely different lives. The small things you do every day are what shape who you are. No one becomes successful overnight, and no one fails because of one moment. Everything is the result of what you continuously choose, repeating over time. Many people think that to change themselves, they need a big event, a moment of explosion, or a strong motivation. They wait for a special milestone, some perfect day in the future when everything aligns to begin. But the truth is, there's no such thing as a perfect day. If you keep waiting until you feel ready, chances are you will never start. The people who go further are not those with the best conditions, but those who are willing to start even when they don't feel ready. Becoming the best version of yourself doesn't mean you have to change everything at once. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect or never make mistakes. Instead, it's a continuous process of learning, adjusting, and growing. You don't need a complicated plan or a sudden change. You just need a commitment that every day you will try to be a little better than yesterday. If you persist in doing this, the results will come naturally. One of the biggest mistakes many people make when trying to improve themselves is focusing too much on the final result and forgetting about the journey. They set big goals like losing 10 kilograms, learning a new language, or getting a better job, but they don't pay attention to the small steps that need to be taken every day to get there. When they don't see immediate results, they lose patience, feel discouraged, and give up. But if you understand that progress is a process, that every small action matters, you will stay motivated to continue even when you don't see clear results. One important thing to note, change doesn't come from momentary inspiration, but from discipline and long-term commitment. Motivation can help you start, but habits and discipline are what help you maintain it. You can't expect to always feel motivated. There will be days when you feel lazy, tired, or want to go back to old habits. That's normal. But the important thing is that you don't let those fleeting feelings determine your long-term path. Successful people are not those who never feel lazy, but those who know how to take action even when they don't feel like it. Another problem many people face when trying to develop themselves is being too hard on themselves. When they make mistakes, they blame themselves, feel guilty, and sometimes give up entirely. But no one can grow without making mistakes. Failure is not the end. It's part of the process. What matters is not avoiding all mistakes, but learning how to get back up after each fall. If you learn to accept mistakes and learn from them, you will go much further than those who focus only on never failing. When you start this journey, there will be times when you doubt yourself. There will be days when you wonder if you're on the right track. But remember, everyone goes through that feeling. No one has all the answers at the start. What matters is not whether you feel confident right away, but whether you are willing to continue even when the answers are not clear. This book doesn't offer a rigid formula, nor does it promise a miraculous change in just a few days. Instead, it is a roadmap to help you understand yourself, cultivate your mindset, build discipline, overcome limits, and ultimately live in full alignment with your own values. If you are truly committed to this process, you will realize that there are no limits stopping you, except the ones you set for yourself. Remember, becoming the best version of yourself doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It only means that each day you strive to be a little better, a little more persistent, and you don't give up when challenges arise. If you truly commit to this journey, you will not only achieve the goals you set, but also lead a more meaningful, confident, and fulfilling life. So, are you ready to start? Part 1. Understanding yourself, the root of all change. Have you ever seen someone doing everything right, but still feeling lost? They have a good job, a stable income, everything society considers success, yet they still feel empty. They don't know why they aren't happy. They don't know what really brings them joy. And they don't understand why, despite all their efforts, they still feel something is missing. The cause isn't that they aren't good enough, haven't tried hard enough, or don't have enough resources. It's because they don't truly understand themselves. Understanding yourself is not something vague or distant. It's not just for those who enjoy philosophy or spend time reflecting. It's the foundation of all change. If you don't understand yourself, every goal you set could be in the wrong direction. You could spend years pursuing something and only realize at the end that it's not what you really wanted. If you don't understand your own values, you can easily be influenced by others and feel confused by life's choices. You may achieve many things, but still not feel satisfied because what you're pursuing doesn't truly come from within you. So, how can you understand yourself? Start by identifying your core values. Core values are the principles and beliefs that you consider most important. They are not what society or your family impose on you, but what you truly feel meaningful. Everyone has a different set of values. Some value freedom above all, others prioritize family, and some value personal growth. If you don't know what your core values are, you'll easily be swept away by things that aren't truly aligned with you. When making an important decision, if it's not based on your core values, sooner or later, you'll feel dissatisfied with that choice. A simple way to identify your core values is to ask yourself, what makes you happiest? What makes you most uncomfortable? What you value most is often reflected in the moments when you feel full of energy and those when you feel most disappointed. If you feel happiest when helping others, contribution might be an important value to you. If you feel restless when forced to follow a set structure, freedom might be what you need. Observing your emotions in everyday life will help you realize what truly matters to you. In addition to understanding your core values, you also need to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Many people think that strengths are things they are good at, but it's not necessarily true. A true strength is something you do naturally, without much effort, but still produce good results. Some people are good at communicating, others excel at problem analysis, and some are good at being creative. If you spend too much time trying to improve your weaknesses and neglect your strengths, you'll never fully tap into your potential. On the other hand, if you focus on your strengths and use them to create an advantage, you'll go much further than trying to be a well-rounded person without excelling at anything. However, identifying weaknesses is also just as important. Not to blame yourself or feel inferior, but to know how to adjust and avoid letting them become obstacles. Some weaknesses can be improved, but some things don't necessarily need to change. The key is knowing how to compensate or adjust so that they don't hinder your growth. In addition to strengths and weaknesses, it's also crucial to understand your own motivations. Why do you do what you're doing? What are you pursuing? Many people simply follow the path that society has laid out without ever questioning why. They study because everyone else does, go to work because everyone else goes to work, and chase goals that others deem important without truly asking whether they're meaningful to them. Understanding your own motivations helps you avoid being caught up in unnecessary things. When you know why you're doing something, you'll have the strength to persevere, even when facing difficulties. Another important factor in understanding yourself is learning to accept who you are. This may sound simple, but it's actually quite difficult. Many people spend their whole lives trying to become a version of themselves that they think will be accepted rather than being themselves. They fear judgment, fear not being good enough, and fear being compared. But you cannot grow if you don't accept yourself first. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop. It means you see yourself honestly without judgment, and from there, find ways to improve in the way that's best for you. If you always try to change just to please others, you'll never truly feel happy. Understanding yourself is an ongoing process. You can't just do it once and be done. At every stage of life, you'll learn more about yourself. But what matters is that you start. When you understand who you are and what's important to you, you'll know how to make better decisions, not be swayed by outside pressures, and not chase things that aren't truly right for you. You'll have a clear direction, a more meaningful life, and most importantly, you'll feel satisfied with who you are. The journey of change doesn't start with trying to become like someone else. It starts with understanding who you truly are, what you want, and what you can do with what you have. And when you truly understand yourself, all changes will become much easier. Part 2, the right mindset, the foundation of growth. Have you ever seen two people starting from the same point with the same circumstances and conditions but achieving completely different results? One person is constantly moving forward, growing all the time, while the other seems stuck, endlessly struggling with their own issues. The difference doesn't lie in talent or luck, but in the way they think. Mindset is the foundation that determines how we act, react, and grow in life. If your mindset is wrong, no matter how hard you try, it will be difficult to achieve the desired results. On the other hand, with the right mindset, you can turn any situation into an opportunity for growth. There are two common types of mindset: fixed mindset and growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities are fixed, that they can only be good at something to a certain extent and cannot change. They fear challenges because they think failure means they're not capable. They avoid new things because they don't want to take risks. They believe success is reserved for those with innate talent. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset understand that human abilities are not fixed. They know that everything can be learned, developed, and improved. They aren't afraid of failure because they see it as part of the learning process. They dare to challenge themselves because they believe that even if they are not good at something at first, with perseverance, they will improve. This difference determines how a person faces life. When confronted with a difficult problem, someone with a fixed mindset will quickly give up, thinking they don't have the ability to solve it. Meanwhile, someone with a growth mindset will look for ways to learn, experiment, and adjust to find a solution. When facing failure, a person with a fixed mindset will feel inadequate and stop. On the other hand, someone with a growth mindset will analyze the cause, learn from it, and keep moving forward. This is why those with a growth mindset keep progressing, while those with a fixed mindset get stuck in a loop of self-limitation. Having the right mindset doesn't mean always thinking positively without reason. Many people misunderstand that positive thinking means always being optimistic, that always believing that everything will be fine without effort. But in reality, the right mindset is being able to view problems realistically, accepting difficulties, and instead of complaining or avoiding them, focusing on finding solutions. Not everything will always go smoothly, but someone with the right mindset always knows how to face and handle situations in the most beneficial way. One important aspect of having the right mindset is the ability to control your thoughts. Every day, countless thoughts appear in our minds. If we don't control them, they can become the biggest barrier that prevents us from moving forward. Many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they convince themselves that they cannot succeed. They let negative thoughts dominate and lose their motivation. But if you can change your thinking, you will change your actions, and from that, change your results. A key habit to cultivate the right mindset is asking the right questions. When faced with a difficulty, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I do to improve this situation?" When you face failure, instead of blaming yourself with, "I'm so incompetent," ask, "What can I learn from this?" The way you ask questions determines how you think. If you constantly ask questions that make you feel like a victim, you will never find a solution. But if you ask questions that are action-oriented and focused on improvement, you will always find a way to move forward. In addition, having the right mindset also involves limiting beliefs. Many people cannot grow because they are bound by thoughts like, "I'm not smart enough," "I don't have talent," or "I can't do this." These thoughts are not truths. They are barriers you've created for yourself. If you believe you can't do something, you will never try. But if you believe you can learn and develop, you will find a way to achieve it. The beliefs you have about yourself will determine how you act, and from there, determine the results you achieve. Another factor that helps cultivate the right mindset is the ability to accept risk and failure. Many people fear failure so much that they don't dare to try something new. They fear judgment, fear making mistakes, fear criticism. But if you want to grow, you cannot avoid mistakes. Failure is not something to be afraid of. It's part of the learning process. If you're willing to accept failure, you will have more opportunities to experiment, learn more, and grow faster. The right mindset also helps you adapt to change. Life is never static. Everything is always changing. If you are rigid and want everything to go according to your plan, you'll easily become disappointed and feel lost when facing setbacks. But if you have a flexible mindset, ready to adapt, you will always find a way to adjust and keep moving forward. Successful people are not those who can control everything, but those who know how to pivot when circumstances change. Cultivating the right mindset is not something that can be done overnight. It's an ongoing process of observing, adjusting, and improving. But if you can change the way you think, you will see that everything in your life will begin to change as well. When you believe you can learn and grow, you will proactively seek opportunities. When you ask the right questions, you will find solutions. When you no longer fear failure, you will dare to experiment and move forward. And when you have a flexible mindset, you will always find ways to adapt and grow, no matter how circumstances change. All change starts with thought. If you want to become the best version of yourself, the first thing you need to do is change the way you think. When you have the right mindset, everything else will naturally fall into place. Part 3, discipline, the bridge between goals and reality. Have you ever set an exciting goal only to give up after a short time? At first, you are determined to change, believing you'll maintain good habits, but then everything gradually fades and you revert to your old lifestyle. This happens not only to you, but to many others. The reason is not because they lack the ability or determination, but because they lack an essential element, discipline. Discipline is not the ability to force yourself to do difficult things in a strained way. It doesn't mean you have to live a harsh life without joy. In fact, discipline is the ability to control yourself to maintain the right actions even when you don't feel motivated. It is a commitment to yourself, a bridge between desire and results. Without discipline, you may have great ideas, but they will always remain just ideas. When you have discipline, you not only think about what you want, but actually take action to achieve it. One of the common mistakes when talking about discipline is that many people think they need motivation first before they can act. But in reality, motivation is just a temporary feeling. It comes and goes, whereas discipline is what helps you maintain consistency. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll never achieve long-term goals. Successful people don't always feel motivated, but they still do what needs to be done, even when they don't want to. Building discipline doesn't mean you need to change everything overnight. One of the most effective ways to develop discipline is to start with small habits. Many people fail to maintain discipline because they set goals that are too large from the start and quickly feel overwhelmed. Instead of aiming to run 10 kilometers every day when you've never run before, start with walking for 10 minutes. Instead of forcing yourself to read 50 pages of a book each day, start with 5 pages. As you build small habits, you will gradually strengthen your willpower and find it easier to maintain larger goals. In addition to starting with small actions, another important element of discipline is consistency. You don't need to do everything perfectly, but you need to maintain continuity. Many people think that if they miss one day, they've failed. But in reality, the problem isn't missing a day. It's whether you get back on track. A small mistake is not an issue, but allowing it to become a new habit will be. People with discipline are not those who never make mistakes. They are those who know how to get back on track after each slip. Another important factor in maintaining discipline is effective time management. Many people say they can't maintain good habits because they don't have time. But the truth is, no one has more or less time than anyone else. The difference lies in how you use your time. If you don't have a clear plan, you will easily be distracted by unimportant things. When you know what you need to do at what time, you're more likely to follow through. An effective way to manage your time is to schedule important tasks. If you want to exercise, set a specific time each day to do it. If you want to read, set a fixed time in your schedule. When everything is planned clearly, it becomes easier to maintain discipline. One of the biggest enemies of discipline is procrastination. You may know what you need to do, but if you keep delaying, all plans are pointless. Procrastination often happens when we feel the task is too difficult or boring. An effective way to overcome procrastination is to break the task into smaller pieces and start immediately. If you need to write a report but feel overwhelmed, instead of thinking about the entire report, just focus on writing the first paragraph. If you need to exercise but feel lazy, just commit to putting on workout clothes. Once you start, you'll find everything becomes much easier. Another important aspect of building discipline is creating the right environment. If you always put yourself in situations where you are easily tempted, it will be difficult to maintain discipline. If you want to focus on work, but everything around you is a distraction, it will be hard to stay persistent. If you want to eat healthily, but your fridge is filled with junk food, you'll easily break your principles. Design your environment in a way that supports the habits you want to build. An essential factor when talking about discipline is intrinsic motivation. If you're only trying because of external pressure, you won't be able to maintain it in the long run. People who are truly disciplined are those who clearly understand why they are doing what they're doing. If you know why you're trying, you'll have the strength to keep going, even when it gets tough. So before starting a goal, ask yourself, why is this important to me? When you have a strong enough reason, you'll have the power to sustain your discipline. Another important aspect when developing discipline is learning how to rest properly. Many people think that discipline means working nonstop, but in fact, a truly disciplined person knows when to rest to maintain long-term performance. If you always push yourself too hard, you'll quickly burn out and lose motivation. Make sure you have appropriate breaks to recharge your energy. Finally, remember that discipline is a skill, not an inherent trait. No one is born with perfect discipline. It's something you can develop and improve over time. At first, maintaining discipline may be difficult, but the more you practice, the more it will become a natural part of your life. When you have discipline, you no longer have to rely on inspiration or motivation to take action. You will have the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And that's what helps you achieve any goal in life. Part 4. Breaking limits. Conquering yourself. Have you ever stood before an opportunity but hesitated to seize it because of fear of failure? Have you ever wanted to change but told yourself you're not good enough or not ready yet? If so, you are not alone. Many people get trapped in a cycle of fear and self-imposed limits. But the truth is, the limits you think you have are not always real. Most of them exist only in your mind, and if you are brave enough to break through them, you will realize that you are capable of achieving far more than you ever imagined. Limits are not fixed. They are not impenetrable walls, but temporary boundaries we set for ourselves to feel safe. People tend to like stability and prefer to stay in their comfort zones because it's familiar, where they don't have to face risks or uncertainties. However, if you want to grow and achieve things you've never achieved before, you need to step out of your comfort zone. No one can grow if they continue walking down the same old path. One of the biggest barriers that prevent people from breaking through their limits is the fear of failure. Many believe that failure is a sign of incompetence, evidence that they're not good enough. But if you look at those who have achieved success, you will see that none of them avoided failure. Failure does not mean you are not good enough. It simply means you are learning. If you are willing to accept that failure is an essential part of growth, you will no longer fear stepping outside your limits. In addition to the fear of failure, another reason many people don't dare to change is because they impose limiting beliefs about themselves. They think they're not smart enough, not talented enough, or not lucky enough to succeed. But these beliefs are not absolute truths. They are just barriers you've created for yourself and can change at any time. If you always tell yourself, I can't, you will never try. But if you start asking yourself, how can I? You will begin to find solutions. Overcoming limits doesn't mean you have to change everything immediately. It doesn't mean you have to jump into challenges that overwhelm you. Instead, it's a step-by-step process. Each day, if you do something outside your comfort zone, you will gradually expand your capabilities. If you fear public speaking, start by talking more with a small group. If you fear trying something new, begin with small steps to familiarize yourself. Change doesn't come from one single moment, but from persistent and continuous effort. An important factor in helping you overcome your limits is changing how you face challenges. Instead of seeing challenges as something to fear, view them as opportunities to learn. When you change your perspective, you will no longer feel pressured to do everything perfectly. Instead, you will focus on experiencing, practicing, and improving. When you face difficulties with this mindset, you will realize that every challenge brings an opportunity for growth. In addition to changing your mindset, another important aspect of overcoming limits is seeking support. No one can do everything alone. When you have companions, people who inspire and encourage you, you will have more strength to continue, even when things get tough. Seek out like-minded people who have overcome similar challenges and can offer useful advice. When you have an environment that supports your growth, it becomes easier to overcome limits you once thought were impossible. Another essential element when breaking through limits is perseverance. Many people quit quickly when they encounter difficulties for the first time, thinking they are not capable. But the truth is, valuable things never come easily. Every skill, every change requires time and persistence. If you try once and then stop, you will never know your true potential. But if you continue, even if it's just a little progress every day, you will find that you are gradually overcoming boundaries you once thought were unbreakable. Another important aspect of breaking through limits is learning to accept imperfection. Many people avoid trying new things because they fear not doing well. But if you wait until you're perfect before you start, you will never begin. No one is great on their first try. No one can do everything perfectly from the start. Growth comes from daring to act, daring to fail, and daring to learn from mistakes. If you can accept that you will make mistakes, you'll have more courage to step out of your comfort zone. Ultimately, overcoming limits is not just about achieving something great. It's about becoming a stronger person. When you constantly challenge yourself, you not only expand your abilities, but also build self-confidence. Every time you accomplish something you once thought was impossible, you will gain more belief in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. Limits only exist when you believe they are real. But when you are willing to challenge them, you will realize you are far stronger than you ever thought. Dare to step out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, accept failure, and keep moving forward. When you do that, nothing is impossible. Part 5. Living fully, creating true value. Have you ever achieved a goal yet still felt empty inside? Have you ever completed a major plan only to realize that the joy was short-lived? This is not uncommon. Many people chase success, relentlessly striving to attain what they want, but when they finally reach it, they don't feel as happy as they had imagined. The reason isn't that the goal was wrong, but because they haven't truly understood the meaning of living a fulfilled life. Living fully doesn't mean you have to achieve everything or feel happy all the time. It means living meaningfully, according to your own values, and feeling satisfied with your journey. Many people set big goals simply to chase societal pressures without truly thinking about whether those goals align with them. They strive for prestigious jobs, earn a lot of money, and own flashy things, but still feel like something is missing. On the other hand, there are people who are not wealthy or famous, but they still find meaning and happiness in their lives. The difference lies in how they define the true value of life. One of the most important factors in living fully is living with purpose. If you don't know what you're living for, you will easily be swept up by unnecessary things, feel directionless, and not truly enjoy life. Living with purpose doesn't mean you have to do something grand, but simply that you know what is important to you and commit to it. When you have a clear purpose, every day of your life will carry more meaning, even when you're doing the most ordinary things. In addition to living with purpose, another factor that helps you feel fulfilled is building meaningful relationships. Humans cannot live alone. No matter how successful you are, if you don't have people who truly understand and appreciate you, your life will still feel incomplete. Happy people are not those who have the most relationships, but those who have quality relationships. When you invest in real relationships, you not only gain support, but also add more meaning to your life. Another important aspect of living fully is learning how to balance work and life. Many people spend their whole lives working, but have no time to enjoy the things that truly matter. They think that when they achieve success, they'll have time to rest. But the reality is that if you don't know how to balance right now, you'll always feel like you don't have enough time. Living fully doesn't mean you have to give up ambition, but it means you know how to allocate time to achieve your goals while also enjoying life. If you keep postponing happiness to some future point, you might never experience it. An essential factor in the journey to living fully is gratitude. Many people always chase distant goals, but forget about what they already have. They always think that when they achieve this or that, they will be happy. But when they reach those goals, they simply move on to the next target without truly enjoying what they've already accomplished. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop trying. It means learning to appreciate what you have while still aiming for better things. When you truly feel grateful, you will see more value in life and won't get caught in the endless cycle of pointless chasing. The final important aspect of living fully is learning to accept yourself. Many people spend their whole lives trying to become someone else, seeking recognition from others, but in the end, they still don't feel enough. When you don't accept yourself, you will always feel dissatisfied, no matter how much you achieve. Living fully is not about striving to be a perfect version of yourself, but learning to love yourself with all your strengths and weaknesses. When you can do this, you will feel lighter, freer, and happier. Conclusion: no one can change completely overnight. Becoming the best version of yourself is a long journey, one without a final destination, but a continuous process of growth and improvement. Every day, you can get closer to a better version of yourself through small actions, wise choices, and a commitment to yourself. This journey is not always easy. There will be days when you feel demotivated, moments of self-doubt, and failures that make you want to give up. But if you remember that every challenge is an opportunity to learn, you will have the strength to keep going. It doesn't matter how far you've come. What matters is that you don't stop. You don't have to become someone else to feel complete. You just need to unlock the best version of yourself. When you understand yourself, cultivate the right mindset, maintain discipline, dare to break through limits, and live a meaningful life, you will not only achieve your goals, but also feel fulfilled with the journey you're on. What matters most is not what you achieve, but how you have lived. And if you commit to yourself, if you truly walk this path, nothing can stop you from becoming the best version of yourself. Start today. Start right now.